evening. We're all invited to take another terrifying journey into the world of mystery, suspense, and terror. Let's turn on all the lights, lock the doors and windows, sit back and enjoy this evening's chilling tale.
All right, well, thank you folks out there in internet land for tuning that dial to the Eek channel. My name is James, and I am joined by my first co-host,
Cody.
and my next co-host,
Danny.
This is Eek Speak, the show that serves as your weekly horror house party where everyone wants to talk about scary movies. Fellas.
And nobody wants to listen. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I just meant we all talk over each other sometimes.
That's true.
That's all I was
All
saying.
the time.
All
Yeah.
the time.
No, let me.
It's hard.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
S-T-O-P.
How you guys feeling on this this fine summer evening?
You know what? My allergies are going crazy. Don't love
they're
it.
bad.
Don't love it.
They're bad.
Hear the little.
They're bad in the Midwest right now.
Yeah. My wife thought I had lost my voice from yelling at my students all day, and I said, no, actually, I didn't yell at all today.
Yeah.
It was just my allergies are awful.
Yeah, I had no voice when I woke up Saturday morning.
Oh, gosh.
I had that like the real low,
Barry White voice.
the real low Barry White voice.
Oh yeah.
And that's all I had.
Oh yeah. Sometimes people get in the mood on that. You know what I mean? Oh, too far.
Yeah.
Different podcast.
Yeah.
Well, that's Eek After Dark.
Oh, after dark.
Even though we usually do this after dark.
Yeah, it's
well, it's
true.
not really dark
It can
yet.
get darker.
We're
But,
getting there.
It's getting there. It's getting darker earlier.
We're getting there.
So on this episode, we're gonna have our special guest. It's our new friend Erica.
Erica.
Erica hosts a podcast called Customers Also Watched, where she watches a lot of movies on Amazon Prime.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know how they got started on this kick. Sounds really cool until you like watch 3 of those customers also watched, and then it gets real sticky real fast.
Yeah, it'll be really fun to talk about. That's for sure.
I'm excited.
All right, so we're going to give her a buzz here.
Give her the old ring a dingy.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when I'm on the show during this moment, sometimes I got to give a hot take. And my new hot take is Stranger Things 3, Season 3, ended better than I thought it was going to end.
You liked it?
I did.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
is this Erica?
Hi. Yes.
Hey, this is James. I am joined by a couple co-hosts today. I have Cody
Oh,
and I have Danny.
Hello, this is Danny.
Okay.
Usually people would say hello at that moment.
well,
Cody,
I
not,
just
"Aw."
it's been a minute since I've been on, so it was nice to hear my name. Sorry. Hello, Erica. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So this is Cody. You're talking to Cody here. And I'm just going to jump right in. I want to hear, I know you've been prompted with pre-questions, and if you've listened to our show at all, you know that I typically go off script just because I think it's more fun that way.
Sure.
I want to know the idea. How did you guys get this idea?
Well, maybe let's let her describe.
Okay.
Describe Customers Also Watch.
And
Describe
then
your
I-
podcast,
okay.
and then kind of where it came from.
Okay, but I get to ask that question. So,
Okay, you're fine.
Okay, Erica. Describe your podcast for us.
So I was a video store kid, and my favorite thing to do was obviously go and pick out a movie. And, you know, we didn't have internet back then to look up movies and figure out what you wanted to watch. So you were just picking based on, you know, the cover art and
yeah.
the description of it and that sort of thing.
That's a dangerous game to
And-
play, by the way. It's a dangerous
It
game
is.
to play.
But it's fun.
And so I think I started this podcast I started planning in December and I started in January. And what it really came from was I realized I was repeating that same behavior on Amazon Prime. Like I would just be picking movies randomly, and it was just based on like, oh, that looks cool, and then read the description and like start watching it without even looking it up. So I thought, well, I can do that and just follow this trail and see where it leads me, and I can podcast about it. So it's been fun.
That's incredible. Okay, you alluded to some degree. You kind of gave us the PG version, but like anybody in their right mind who's been watching horror movies for the last like 10 years, where it's like it feels accessible to directors and to movie makers to make a low budget accessible horror movie. Like, this is dangerous. This is dangerous ground. You could be getting into really kind of what I would consider crapville. You could be getting into you could be getting into like some soft core stuff. Like, it's hard telling where this venture.
Wait, what?
Low budget horror. Are you kidding me?
Get real nasty.
We've all been there. You're watching a movie and you're
By
like, wait,
accident,
what turn did this just take?
Does come
So
up.
like were you like, I guess my question is like, I mean, you just went for it. Were you? I feel like we're always watching trailers. Like, I'm just kind of. I guess maybe I don't have more of a question because you kind of answered it, but I'm a little shocked. Like, this is dangerous ground.
You're a brave soul.
Yeah.
It's bitten me in the ass a few times. I mean, so I started with one movie that was on my personal watch list, and then I was like, okay, I'm setting rules. Like, it has to be a movie I haven't seen before. I can't look up anything outside of what's in front of me on Amazon Prime. And so, I've gotten a few like good cheesy 80s horror movies. I've gotten some really good ones that have been on my personal, like my watch list on Letterboxd that I've been wanting to see for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten a movie that tricked me into thinking it was a horror movie, but it turned out to be a really bad comedy.
Oh.
I've gotten softcore. I've gotten softcore tentacle porn.
I told you, man. This genre. No, put that tentacle away, Erica. You can't see. James is flapping over here. So like, yeah, I'm telling you, this genre is like. It is a gateway for other less accessible genres.
Well,
like,
yeah,
you can,
we've said it before. Like if genre movie or if movies are clicks, genre movie is like, hey, you don't fit anywhere else, we'll take you.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've went off script once. I feel like maybe
you're
I should.
good.
Okay. So I guess what is. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself. What is the strangest? I'm just interested.
That's what I would like to know as well.
What is the strangest venture you've gone down? Because once you hit, I don't know, I guess I haven't done it consistently enough, but like sometimes once you hit that, like customer also viewed, like you just keep getting down a weirder and darker rabbit hole.
Yeah,
like,
it's like the Wikipedia hole.
Yes. Like what are these awkward places that you ventured? I'm so interested.
It's at this point, I think I've sort of developed a strategy because I did get to, there's been some weird ones that have popped up. I had like 3 Shaw Brothers movies in a row, which was fantastic.
Okay.
Nice.
But then at a certain point I was like, okay, I don't want this to turn into a Shaw Brothers podcast. So
Yeah.
you have to try to pick strategically and think about what movie is this. If I pick this one, what'll be on the list for that one? And so I find myself having to do that. I've come across some really interesting movies like this movie Born of Fire, which is sort of this like horror fantasy directed by a Pakistani director, and it was gorgeous and fantastic. And then I've gotten into some like 80s Italian exploitation action films. So it's just weird because it's completely dictated based on what other people are clicking, and I can't even plan it ahead of time. Like, I can't just say, okay, I'm going to plan the next 6 months and click through and say, okay, that one, then that one, then that one. Like, I try to keep it honest and say, okay, I'm going to pick at the end of each episode because the list is constantly changing. So I have no way to pick ahead of time. So it's there's some weird ones out there. This latest one, I'm recording an episode this week with Nathan from the podcast I Hope You Suffer. That poor guy, he has to watch Muckman with me, and it's god awful. But I mean, I picked it strategically because I was sort of stuck in this weird like 80s sci-fi action genre, and I was like, well, I want to get back to horror, and that was the only horror movie that was on the list. Yes. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna fucking do it.
Yes. Yep.
So I will tell you, I'm really inspired by kind of like your, I don't like the intent, kind of thinking about the the video store like mentality. I will say, and maybe you've kind of experienced this, so you could allude to this a little bit. Like One time, me and my buddy Eric, we were in high school, and we went to Blockbuster every Friday night, and we went through like a 3-month dry spell.
Yeah.
We watched a movie called. It wasn't at this point. We weren't just doing exclusive horror movies. We were just doing any movie. We watched the 3 Burials of Oh gosh, I messed it up already.
Oh boy.
Maquiatas Estrada is bad. Has Barry Pepper in it. We also watched.
I feel like a history major should be able to say that name.
You would think, but we also watched Live Free or Die, which is different than no. I'm sorry, the Live Free State. I don't know. It sounded a lot like that Die Hard movie, but it wasn't, and it was awful. It like wanted to be Garden State. So I'm just like, have you gone through what you would consider a dry spell with this? Like, I've been there.
Yeah, no.
Good
I mean,
for
I've
you.
definitely.
Good for you.
I've definitely gone through a couple of movies where I've had some self-loathing and questioning my decision to do this, but no dry spells. I mean, just a couple here and there where I really didn't like the movie, but it's, to me, that's the same experience I had at the video store where I was like, sometimes I got really great ones, and then sometimes I watch something and I'm like, well, this fucking sucked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I am actually kind of fascinated by the idea of there almost being a meta game around your film selection. Like when you were saying like, oh, if I select this, then maybe something like this will show up, and that adds a whole new level of strategy. And as someone who's hosting a podcast and I understand episode planning and things like that, like adding that element. Just, I don't know, there's something amazing about that because you're playing the lottery. You're also kind of playing a strategic game of chess to try to get to a certain type of movie.
Yep.
And then you're also hosting a show.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, it's definitely, you got to have a lot of strategy with it. It's like, it's like you said, like with the lottery, it's like I'm playing scratchers right now, crossing my fingers.
Absolutely. So I actually love your inspiration as well. I actually had this exact same experience just the other day with my son. My son is 6 years old, and we have like a Mega Replay. I don't know how big that chain actually is, if you know what that is, but it's like a used video store. They have DVDs, Blu-rays, games, but it's all stuff that people from the community brings in to sell to them, and then they resell it.
Nice.
So it's kind of set up like an old school video store, and then you just cases everywhere, and so it's kind of fun to walk through. And I always walk through looking for like the really cool, like maybe a cool Scream Factory Blu-ray or Arrow Video, like the really cool horror stuff, and that's what I'm looking for. But I took my son in there the other day, and I was like, they were having a buy 3 DVDs, get 3 DVDs free.
Oh, baby.
So I was like, bro, just pick out whatever you want. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
and so I just let him go. And it's amazing in that element because we live in a world right now with, Netflix and Hulu and Shudder, and all of those things are really great, but they're all curated to us in such a specific way. And especially like Netflix and Hulu, those algorithms really are only designed so that the popular stuff continues to get more popular.
Yeah.
And the video store throws all of that to the wind.
Yeah.
And so my son could pick out something that is just completely ridiculous and is probably terrible, but it might be a movie that no other kid in his class has ever seen. And I just loved that. I loved that idea, and I really wanted to guide him in his selection, but I didn't. And the movie he walked out most excited about is Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes. Good
And I
for
have
him.
no idea why. This kid's in first grade, and he wants to watch a live-action movie with a chubby white police officer on the cover.
But dude, that mustache.
I know, but I enjoy the idea of him getting to select something on his own, because when I look back into, my childhood and I think of like some movies that I liked, of course I liked Space Jam, but like there were other just random movies that like probably no other kid really got into my age, but I was all about it, and I rented it from the video store over and over and over again. And I just think that we're approaching a world where that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's true.
And so that's why I love your inspiration, and I think that people taking your mindset into the future is a good thing because, I mean, yeah, like I said, do I really need someone to tell me to go watch a Marvel movie at this point? Like, I don't need that as a recommendation. Like, give me something that's actually catered and something that's interesting and different because, yeah, I probably will watch the Marvel movie, but I would rather watch something interesting.
Like Ernest Goes to Jail or something like that. Okay, Erica, we're gonna switch gears here. What movie, if you could pin one down, what movie or franchise like got you into the horror realm? Like what do you claim is like
your horror origin story?
Yeah, let's go.
Ooh, I don't have one. That's a complicated question. Like, no, it's just that it just came in phases, gradually over time for me. And I do have like one specific memory, even though I know it's not the first horror movie that I saw. So I saw, did you guys ever see that movie Summer School with Chainsaw and Dave?
No, but I like the sound of it.
Okay, so there's this teen comedy called Summer School, and there's these two students in it called Chainsaw and Dave, and Chainsaw took his name from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he had a screening in the class during summer school, and they showed part of it. And, you know, I was 8 years old when I saw this in theater, and I saw that part of the movie, and I was like, holy shit, I want to see that movie. And of course I wasn't allowed to see it for, you know, some time after that. I mean, that's like one memory I have of like seeing it in another sort of setting and being like, I need to see that, whatever it is. Yeah. But like everything else was really sort of in phases. My mom was kind of a horror movie fan, but she grew up in the 50s and 60s. So that's all sort of like tame monster flicks. And,
sure.
My dad was a huge Schwarzenegger fan. So I saw Terminator and The Predator when I was really young, but like, yeah, it was just sort of phases. Like elementary school was like all the sort of very mainstream stuff, Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween and Amityville and Stephen King. And then junior high was like Evil Dead and Hellraiser, kind of stepping it up a notch. And that's sort of when I started recognizing like, oh, these directors are doing a certain thing. And so I started following like Romero and Carpenter, and then, but like, I mean, the video store that was closest to me, or the video store that my parents took me to, at least, it didn't really have the best selection. So I was sort of restricted to the stuff at that video store until I could drive myself to one further away when I was in high school. And that's sort of when I started going backwards a lot more, and, you know, discovered Argento and started watching all the movies that the Misfits songs were based on and weird shit like that.
Nice.
I guess, I mean, I got to give some credit to my, this boyfriend that I had in college when I was 19, because he introduced me to a lot of really great stuff. Plus we had a really, really good video store, in that little college neighborhood. And, but he introduced me to Hitchcock and Fulci and Takashi Miike and stuff like that. And that opened a lot of doors for me. And then, and I guess sort of like in my late 20s, I tried to pay it forward because I was a teacher for a number of years, and there were,
you have one former teacher and one brand new teacher that's on here with you as well.
Yep.
You're going to break soon. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Yeah, this is his first year. He's got like a week and a day under his belt. So.
Oh yeah.
Sixth graders.
Oh, sixth grade.
Yeah, I taught high school, so I taught seniors, and there was, I didn't mind it because I have a really foul mouth, and I didn't hold back. So
those are those teachers, aren't they?
They're always the coolest. Always the coolest.
Yeah. But there was like this tiny population of these Mexican metalheads and punks, and they always got picked on, and they fucking hated the world. And so like
those are my kind of people.
They were mine too. And so they would come to my classroom and hang out during lunch or whenever they would ditch class, and I would bring movies and project them during lunch for them to watch. I was sort of trying to undo, like, because this was right around the time that Saw came out when I started teaching, and I was like, I'm trying to undo that fandom.
Yeah.
So I was like, here's some better stuff. Let's watch these.
That's awesome. Okay, so we play this little game around here, and I actually, well, first of all, I just want to say that it truly is an honor to have you on. I've listened to quite a few customer also watched episodes, and I don't want to diss any guest that we've had on the show before.
Definitely not.
But I definitely think out of anyone that we've ever spoken to, you may have seen the most, or at least just the most variety. When I hear you talk on the show, and then just seeing all of the things that you have watched just in customers also watched, let alone whatever you've watched in other areas of your life, like it is a joy for me as someone who is not anywhere close to being an expert. We are in the stage right now, I would say, where we are just discovering the Fulcis and the Argentos. Like that was a door that wasn't even open to us before we started the show.
Yeah, it's true.
And so yeah, it's been really fun listening to your podcast. And it's really great because I know I've been able to pick out things that I should watch and then also things that I should skip. And that has been super helpful, and I really appreciate that.
Love the ones that are skip them.
So I love how you rate movies at the end, and kind of your lowest rating is kill it with fire. And so we play this little game where if you could eliminate one film or franchise in the horror canon, what would it be?
Oh, hands down, Jeepers Creepers. He's a fucking pedophile.
Yes.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yes. What a good answer. You know, I never expected to get that answer because I feel like, especially in my like age group and even like a little younger, like there's this weird love for at least the first one.
Sure.
At least Jeepers Creepers 1.
I mean, seeing Justin Long's like skinned face was kind of cool. I mean, it made an impression.
See, Erica, look what I have to deal with every week. Like, stop it.
Support
right?
that movie. Do not support that man. He's a fucking pedophile. Stop.
It's the Jeepers Creepers and Jeepers Creepers 2. Were there more than 2? I don't know. I don't care. They were bad. They were bad movies. They were bad.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's one reason for them to be erased. But obviously, like they're not good. But ultimately, like he's a pedophile. Don't support him. Don't say, hey, we're going to do a podcast about fucking Jeepers Creepers, or we're going to have, hey, it's movie night. Let's watch Jeepers Creepers. No, a pedophile made those movies. Please stop, everybody.
All right, officially, I'm releasing a statement now. I don't know how long that our podcast will ever run, but we will officially never cover a Jeepers Creepers movie on the podcast.
There you go.
You've convinced me.
Thank
That
you.
was beautifully put, and I
That
loved it.
That is our seal of approval. I don't know how much it's worth, but you have it. Boom.
Okay,
Love
and
it.
so one of your other ratings at the end of a movie is a remake it rating.
Ooh.
And so another thing that we like to discuss is if you could resurrect something. So maybe something that maybe needs a remake or maybe just needs a sequel, just something that has been gone for a while and needs to come back, what would it be?
I mean, okay. I've listened to a few episodes. I don't remember this question. I tried to come prepared. Give me a second.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, if we try to prepare you, it's just because we're going to blindside you. We're kind of
no, it's fine. I can come up with something here. Okay, so there's been a couple of movies I've done on the podcast where I'm like, yeah, this could do with a remake, but I would say them and no one would know what they are, so it wouldn't make a difference.
Sure.
And it's just those there's this chunk of like just okay horror movies that have like a really solid idea and maybe have like some really good gore effects, and those could do well for a remake.
Yes.
What I hate seeing is all of these familiar ones that are being done. Like I didn't see the new Child's Play. I was like, I don't fucking care. Like it's not my Chucky. Like that whole whatever. I want new ideas, and honestly, everything that you see now is, you know, rehashes with jump scares and safe gore. And to me, that's not what I want to see. I don't really have anything sort of mainstream that I'd even want to be touched. I would take it even maybe, you know, I'm going to go back to my English teacher roots, and I'm going to say instead of like remaking something, I would try to bring Lovecraft back to the forefront, and
Yes,
maybe let's pick up some Lovecraft stories which haven't been made into a film yet, like Rats in the Walls or something like that. Like
Yeah.
that movie, that story is fucking great. It's got cannibalism. It's fucking creepy and awesome. It's like, someone make that movie. Like, don't fucking rewrite, you know, another Halloween or remake another Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw. It's like, fucking leave them alone. And there's plenty of source material out there for people to, let's say, resurrect or like dig up.
Yeah.
It's true. I
Yeah,
like that. I
absolutely.
Like that answer.
That's a great answer. Okay. I would like to know, just from what you know of us, which I'm not saying that you need to know a lot, just know that we are laymen who found out that there's a few of us who like scary movies, and so we started watching them every week. And then at some point we were like, oh, hey, we kind of all are musicians, so we have a little bit of an audio background. We could probably do a podcast. That seems pretty easy. And so we started doing a podcast because we watch a movie together every week. Do you have any just recommendations of things that maybe we should explore?
Oh, shit. Okay. How much time do we have? No, I'm just,
I am ready to start typing.
so I think I remember. Okay, so I remember the last of your Eek Speak episodes I listened to was with Madeline, and I know she recommended Fulci, and so I would double down on that.
Okay.
I think like Exorcist 3, I feel like gets overlooked a lot. Like everyone just sort of clings to the first one, but they forget about Exorcist 3. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. I think that one's a little bit more on people's radar because Joe Bob Briggs did it on The Last Drive-In.
That one's been on our radar for a while, but we haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Prince of Darkness, Carpenter. I feel like that's another one where people are like, oh, you know, Halloween and They Live and The Thing. It's like, well, you know, he's got a lot of fucking great movies, and Prince of Darkness is rad.
Yeah, Prince of Darkness just hit Shudder.
Oh, it did?
Yep.
Nice. There you go.
I saw it on there, and I was like, oh, Carpenter movie that I haven't seen. I should watch that sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should. It's fucking great. And I'm not going to give like too many because I could go on forever, but
I could listen forever. This is great.
I think another one would be probably Argento's Deep Red, because I feel like a lot of people went back and rewatched the original Suspiria or watched it for the first time when the new one came out. But to me, I'm like, that's not even his best one. Like you're missing out. So
we actually did do an episode. It was a very early episode.
Yep.
And Deep Red was the first Argento movie that any of us watched.
Yep.
Yay!
Yeah,
good for you.
Oh man, even just that opening kill with the woman in the window and all that visual was just so impactful.
Yep.
Like I don't know, that image is definitely imprinted in my brain. Yep. Like it was so good.
Yeah. Nice.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you a second just to kind of plug your stuff. So we know that you have a podcast, and you can tell us, you know, where people can find all your things. And, you know, this is your time. You have earned your time, and we are really, really happy that you've been here with us. So go ahead and tell the people where they can find you.
Sure. So Customers Also Watched is on all the podcatcher platforms. You can follow on Instagram and Facebook under Customers Also Watched. Twitter is CAW Podcast, and Letterboxd, if anyone is on that. My username under there is Also Watched. So and that's, you know, it's not just for the podcast Letterboxd account. It's like everything that I'm watching. So you can see what I'm rating for the podcast, but also all the other stuff that I'm watching. So we have, generally it's every other Tuesday is a new episode about an Amazon Prime movie. and then do some bonus episodes now and then. I just did a June exploitation one for the F This Movie Challenge with my friend Lance, and so we talked about like 60 different movies that we watched for that.
Nice.
And then once a month, I have a friend, Rebecca, who has not seen any horror movies. Well, she has now because we've been doing mini episodes and covering entire horror franchises, and she's a delight. Like I love listening to her talk about watching one of these movies for the first time ever, because she's an adult and she's just like, oh my God, and I love this and I love this, and she's just the best. So those are a lot of fun, and those drop once a month.
Yeah, I actually binged all of the mini episodes over the last couple days. I have a job where I'm a professional photographer, but I'm a photographer in a way that I don't interact with people all day long. So I just go and do my thing, and so I just listen to podcasts constantly, and I've been binging all of the mini episodes because I think the kind of yin and yang to you and Rebecca is just amazing, and your chemistry together works so well, because I feel like you have a lot of kind of straightforward delivery, whereas she gets a lot more animated, and it just, the juxtaposition of it is so entertaining. I absolutely love it. All of the episodes are great, but I really, really love the mini episodes. They're awesome.
Yeah, everyone seems to have the same sentiment, which is fine. Like, I mean, they're honestly, like, I don't want to say that, excuse me, I don't want to say that they're my favorite to do, because, you know, most of the time, and I say most because I don't always rewatch all the movies in the franchise, because we just did Hellraiser, and I was like, I am not going to go back and rewatch all that fucking garbage. So, yeah, that's... I do, like, it's just one of the, you know, it's pure joy just listening to her talk about those movies. And yeah, it's fun to pick on her, because she's kind of, you know, she's the tabula rasa. Like, she's just like, just feed it to me. Tell me what I should watch and what's good and what's not. And so it's nice. It's like I get to sort of also recapture a part of, you know, my teaching years, since I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, Erica, it's been so nice having you. I just thank you so much for being with us today. And yeah, just have an enjoyable rest of your week.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thanks, you guys too. It's been a lot of fun.
Yep. All right. See you later. Bye.
Bye, Erica.
Take care. Bye.
I like Erica.
I'm ready.
She nice.
Cody, I don't know if you watched, if you listened to last week's.
I did. She nice.
Danny always says, "Oh, she was nice. He was nice. They were nice.
So nice."
Danny expects the world to be horrible, and he finds out every week that
there's nice people out there.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're gonna roll right into our horror news for this week.
Let's go.
First one, Tom Atkins wants to cameo in the Halloween sequels. So Tom Atkins is the star of Halloween 3.
Oh.
Also the main guy in The Fog.
Yeah.
And Night of the Creeps. He also appears in Escape from New York, so he has a pretty long history of working with Carpenter.
Let's go.
And he has come out and said, hey, put me in as just a cameo. I just want to be a cameo in one of these 2 Halloween movies that are coming out.
I really hope it happens.
I really hope it happens.
I feel like this stuff never happens.
I know.
Freaking Charlie Sheen wanted to throw out the first pitch for the Tribe in like the World Series against the Cubs.
Right.
Everybody thought it was a great idea. It didn't happen.
I know.
And the Tribe lost. So like, come on, Carpenter, take your cues.
That means the Cubs won.
Like, all you got to do is put him in some sunglasses, a fake mustache. Like, nobody's going to know who
He's
who
got a
this
real
guy
mustache.
Is. Oh, yeah. Shave it off. Nobody's going to know who this guy is. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Tom
Absolutely.
Atkins, man. This guy has, in the horror kind of convention circuit and stuff, he's just become sort of a hero.
Yep.
I mean, he's always been... he's probably not to an extent, but as far as the warm and fuzzies... Tom Atkins, in his age, has almost become the Stan Lee of horror conventions. Not in like the untouchability, but in just like the warm and fuzzies. This guy, he's a huge sweetheart. Like, you'll see him just walking the halls of conventions like no big deal.
Can I counter your Stan Lee with maybe like a Mark Hamill?
Yeah.
Like just he tries to make himself very accessible.
Oh yeah.
And will try to be as down to earth as possible.
Yep.
Like in every opportunity.
Yep. I can't even remember. Who's that? I feel like such a douchebag for not remembering this actor's name. He was the dad in Gremlins.
Oh.
He died not that long ago.
Oh.
I can't remember his name, but he was in a lot of horror movies. I'm gonna remember it as soon as I end the recording, and if we had more people in chat because we switched to YouTube Live instead of Twitch, but somebody probably would have said something.
Yeah.
Anyway, amazing guy, and I saw a fan videoed this interaction between Tom Atkins and that guy's widow. She was there at the convention kind of representing him because he was supposed to be there that year, but then he died. And so she kind of fulfilled his tour dates for all the conventions he was supposed to be at and stuff like that. And Tom Atkins literally came to her hey, I'm so sorry to hear about your husband. I never had the chance to work with him, but I always loved the work that he did. I always wanted to get into a movie with him. And even when he's hey, can I give you a hug? And he came around the barrier table thing and gave her a hug. It was just the most adorable thing. Tom Atkins is my superhero, and no one can tell me that he's done anything wrong because I just think the guy is adorable. And so yeah, I'd put him in a Halloween movie.
Do it.
Put him in a Halloween movie.
He earned it.
Come on, John.
He's earned it. Not that John probably has. Well, I guess at this point he could probably just say, "Do it." If you don't do it,
I'm walking.
I'm sure his involvement is so minimal at this
Doesn't
point.
matter.
But he could just say, "I'm just going to tell everybody it sucks."
Yep.
If
All
I
I
tell
gotta
everybody
do.
that I don't approve,
Yep.
everyone's going to hate it, even if it's good.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So the next piece of news is about Mike Flanagan. So you guys probably aren't very familiar with that name, but once I start talking about him, you're going to know exactly what I mean. Mike Flanagan has really come out of the woodwork, and he has been low-key making a bunch of films and properties that we have actually all seen, at least most of us have seen, and most of us have enjoyed most of the things that he's made.
Okay.
So this is the guy who did Hush.
Ooh.
He did Oculus, which Danny, I watched. I don't know if Cody's seen it, but we watched Oculus together at your house.
Yep.
And he did Gerald's Game.
Oh.
He is doing the new Dr. Sleep, which is the adaptation of Stephen King's novel Dr. Sleep, which is the technically the sequel to The Shining. It's not directly related to The Shining, but it's all about Danny Torrance.
Yeah.
And so he also is the guy who did Haunting a Hill House.
Oh.
So an extended, more terrifying Haunting of Hill House director's cut is arriving on Blu-ray later this year.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, first I want to sidebar and say Mike Flanagan. I'm pretty sure that's Phoebe Buffay's boyfriend and friend. But that's where I know that name. I'm pretty sure. But I would really like to see, nothing against Haunting a Hill House, I would really like to see a more scary version.
Yep.
I felt like the build-ups were all good.
Yep.
I feel like there was 2 or 3 really good spooks.
Yep.
I don't want to see even say jump scares. There were just some good spooks. And
There was one really good jump
there
scare.
was one
In the whole series, there's one really good
there
jump
was
scare.
one really good jump
Lots
scare.
of good spooks, one good jump scare.
And I would love to see a scarier version.
Absolutely.
I would love to see it.
So let me throw this at you, though, because the first thing that hit me was that, yes, the more terrifying version, things that you had to cut because it didn't fit the Netflix kind of
Mold,
exactly.
equation.
It's too intense. Not as many people will watch it if it's super horror. If it's extreme horror, it won't be as popular. So Netflix doesn't want that stuff in there. So cut it out. Yes, give me that. But my biggest complaint with Haunting a Hill House is I felt that if it was not pulled out into a series and instead was a 2-hour movie, it would have been an amazing movie.
It's true.
And
That's a good
I
point.
feel like the show is bloated as is.
Yeah.
Giving me a director's cut will just make it more bloated.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
Is a scarier version worth it if it's an additional 2 hours?
Yeah, I guess I would hope that the director's cut and like the Filmhouse cut would be different.
Yeah.
So like maybe director, I mean, because that happens all the time too, where like the directors say, "This is what I want." It happened. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it happened in Batman vs Superman where it was like, "This is the director's cut," and they were like, "Wait, no, we want to do pretty much an entire different storyline, and so
Yep.
we're gonna chop the entire movie completely differently."
Yep.
So it was like the same footage, just chopped completely differently. So it created a different movie. I don't want to say it's better or worse. So I guess it was awful, the one that I saw. So I will so I would hope that maybe we get different cuts where like maybe we take out maybe some of the bloated and we give more scare.
Right.
But you're right.
I would hope that that's true. I would hope that some of I don't want to be I feel like when I get in these places, I always feel like I'm making myself sound like a dick. I don't want to sound like a dick, but a lot of the stuff with Luke and his drug problem, and like it was just so drawn out and dramatic, and like I don't give a fuck. Give me ghosts.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and I feel like even just any of the family drama, like a lot of the family drama could have been surmised quickly.
the sisters all being pissed
yep.
at each other. Who
Yep.
gives a shit? That's too much like my real life. Okay,
Yeah.
like
Well,
I
and
don't
even-
want to see it in my movies.
Well, and even like the dad being like the kind of scapegoat guy for like 6 episodes, and then we find out enough early on that like he's not a bad guy, and so like
This
I don't
wasn't
know,
meant
like,
to be a review episode of The
Yeah,
Haunting of Hill
yeah.
House, but there you have it.
I think we could do it. I think I think the problem is most directors' cut adds more, but
Right.
if we get a different cut, this could be great.
I like that idea.
be great.
Absolutely. So the other piece of Mike Flanagan news is there is a Haunting of Hill House season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you're going to think at first, but then whenever I come at you with the next thing, it is called The Haunting of Bly Manor. It is based on the story of Turn of the Screw by Henry James. It has absolutely nothing to do with the first season.
I like that.
It's just basically they're calling it The Haunting.
Yeah.
It's like the show is called The Haunting.
Yeah.
And then every season is The Haunting of this, The Haunting of this, The Haunting of this.
American Horror Story
Yep.
ish.
American Horror Story a la Netflix.
Hopefully better
Yes, please.
as it goes on. Okay, I'm in. I'll watch it. I'm nervous for the same equation.
Absolutely.
For the drama, for the
This one is, from what I understand, I'm not very familiar with the story, but I looked up a little bit about it, and it seems as if this will be a pretty hardcore 1800s, like mid 1800s period piece.
I like the sound of that.
Old ghosts.
old ghosts.
Old ghosts.
Scarier than new ghosts.
Not modern ghosts. We're getting some old ghosts. Getting some,
Ghosts.
yeah, getting some 1800s ghosts.
They know how to use muskets.
I don't think ghosts can use them.
Oh, they got it. They
Oh,
got it. Don't you worry about it.
I don't
nobody
think
uses
you
them. I don't think
argue
they
with the
can
history
physically do it.
teacher about what ghosts do. If anybody
Yeah.
knows what they should do, it should be the history teacher,
They
right?
certainly wouldn't know how to use a
Because
percussion
he goes,
cap.
you gotta go to Gettysburg.
Gotta go to
and that's
Gettysburg.
where
Gotta go, guys.
you gotta go to Gettysburg to be a history major, and that's
That
where all the
go?
ghosts is.
Yep. Certainly wouldn't know how to use percussion cap or mini balls. Like, please, they're using.
Oh,
freaking
now he's using
flintlocks
words that
and-
don't even know. Now he's using words that don't even know. Okay, well, that about wraps it up for
That
this
wraps it
episode.
up.
Do not forget that Eek Speak is an online horror talk show, and you, my friends, are invited to the party. We record live on YouTube Monday nights at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We would love for you to join us and be a part of the audience. A party is always fun.
With friends.
With friends, we always need more guests on the show. If you would like to be a guest on the show, just like Erica was today, please hit us up on Instagram at Eek Channel. That is EekChannel, or email us at hello@eekchannel.com. You can also check out our website, eekchannel.com, and you can click the Be a Guest link in the upper right-hand corner. If you would like to help out the show, just rate, comment, review, leave a like, do all the internet things that people do, enable the notifications, subscribe on YouTube, or you know what, fuck all this shit, I don't really care, just tell a friend.
Just tell a friend.
Just tell a friend.
it.
These guys are kind of cool. Maybe you should listen to them every once in a while.
I'm a cool guy.
And that's good enough for me. It's good enough for me. Or just tell them we're really stupid.
Just tell them we're
And
stupid.
It's interesting to listen to these guys talk about movies that they don't know anything about, because that's how I feel half the time.
They have a lot of really good guests on, so
We have nice people.
we have nice
Please
people.
don't know.
that are our guests.
Ain't never
They're
been not
so
one
nice.
nice one.
We haven't had a single not nice one.
No.
All right, guys. Well, that does it for us. Thank you so much for listening and watching whatever it is you do. Stay geeky out there. All that stuff. Whatever. Bye.
This has been a production of Eek Channel. We make spooky stuff for people like you. You can discover more content like this at eekchannel.com or find us on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the places. And don't be shy, we like making new friends. Thank you for tuning in and stay eeky out there.